today I have a wonderful surprise. Now, this is an actual whistleblower, someone that has been featured on Project Veritas, and actually, even the Senate has used his information to call out big tech. It is my pleasure to introduce Zach Vorhies. Thank you for joining me, Zach. How you doing
A-
today?
Adam, thank you for
Yep,
having me on your show. Big fan.
definitely. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm a big fan of yours. I've known about you for a little while now, as I really wasn't paying attention much to the political realm, to the realm outside of my own personal life before 2020. And I think a lot of people have been waking up in 2020 and realizing the situation that we're in now. And you, in fact, before 2020, back in 2019, went to Project Veritas to help expose Google because you worked there for 8.5 years, I believe, right?
hmm
And you saw some stuff. I mean, why don't you give us a little bit of your Google history? Uh,
Yeah, so Google was the best company I've ever worked for.
okay.
And they had this like ethos of kind of a libertarian, digital libertarianism, it's kind of like, hey, let everyone do what they want to do, but let's not get government involved at all. And we're just trying to get everyone to express themselves. And hey, if that's disruptive, then that's just the price of progress. And I was like, "All right, sign me on."
Yeah, I like that.
And
Sounds good.
they lived up to that all the way up until 2016 when Donald Trump won the election, and then they kind of just they're like, "Well, fake news," and they start talking about the threat of fake news and how it's used in elections, and they need to start protecting elections. I was just like, "But wait a minute, doesn't that just kind of go against your entire ethos that you stated?
Right.
That's still their mission statement." And yeah, they decided that they were going to turn to the dark side and go a little bit evil and start getting into the manipulation of the internet. And in 2019, it was still kind of fringe that Google would basically do more or less a coup.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like at this point in 2021, it's very clear at this point that government officials, it's not just Alex Jones anymore, it's not just Donald Trump, it's everyone
Yep.
is now in danger of getting banned. And it's just like someone should go tell the CEO of YouTube, like, hey, Donald Trump's out of office, why are you still banning everyone?
Right.
What's the danger here?
I mean, and it's not just about Trump too. It's anything. Really, if you go against their narrative, they're like, you're gone, or manipulate the algorithms. So I mean, I've been talking algorithms for a while, and until I haven't read your book, but I've seen enough of the information that you put out to know that it's very real that they manipulate the algorithms, and it's um, I mean, it's
They
a
literally
machine.
rewrote their news algorithm in order to target Trump, and they did
Wow.
it when he was having his fight with Comey, which is some of the documents that I've, released, which
Is that
shows.
is that this here? Is this thing here the real hive mind scoring?
Yeah, it's part of that slide deck, I believe.
Okay.
And what they're describing in this slide deck is how to take different stories of the same event and glom them together into a super mega story so
Okay.
that it goes to the top of the rankings. And right
Mm,
now, what you see right here is a scoring mechanism to figure out when a signal is being detected and how that signal is being calculated.
okay. And then actually, the next slide here is when he fired Comey.
hmm
So yeah, active for 8 days, right? I remember you explaining this, and it's essentially maintaining. It's almost like maintaining the anger, like the emotional trigger for anger. You have to keep reminding yourself why you're angry because anger doesn't last. It's the quickest to fade. Um, so it's almost like they're using that kind of, it's the same kind of a thing. They have to keep reminding people why to be angry at Trump, why to well, obviously, I'm putting two and two together here, but do you see what I mean? They have to keep reminding people why Trump is bad, that he fired Comey, and they're making an algorithm about that to keep bringing up that same stuff over and over and over
I
again.
mean, they have to, right? Like, look what they did in from 2016 to 2020.
Oh,
They imploded the entire economy. They've, been stripping away free rights that we've had and enjoyed.
true.
Right now we've essentially backdoored the Chinese communist system's social credit score.
Yeah.
I, people are getting banned off of PayPal and Venmo, and they're starting to shut down these financial services to people that PayPal disagrees with politically.
Yep.
And it's just a like, it's funny if I were to have gone back into 2015 and be like, hey, see all those like separate different entities that you think are independent companies in a free marketplace? They're actually all working together.
Yep.
And when the perfect time comes, they're actually all going to join together and act in like as if they were one single Voltron, right? I mean, think about that. It's like, think about that. Google, Facebook, Twitter, they're all going to come together and form like a giant Voltron like robot
Yeah.
that's going to take over the world. And that's basically kind of like what's happened.
Yeah, we're there right now. We're seeing it.
We're seeing it right now.
Yeah,
By the way,
it's
we're not
crazy.
live on YouTube. Am I going to get you in trouble
Yeah.
with this?
We are live on YouTube.
Uh-oh.
Um,
Uh-oh.
hey, you know what? There's
What?
certain things that I think are very important to get out there. I mean, I've gotten strikes on my channel before. But they're talking about specific things, a certain pandemic that was going around, and that's the only time I've gotten in trouble. I think this is like, what are they going to do? They're going to strike me for this? It's like it's just going to prove that we are right, that they are censoring people that are talking about actual stuff. Like you, you were working there. These are actual documents that you had from their systems. So it's not like you're making up stuff, right? You actually worked there. You actually liked Google. From what I gather, you're almost bummed that they decided to, you know what, we got to just step it up and start manipulating stuff and manipulating the way that people think, what people see. It's like it's sad when you said it's like their mission, their ethos was libertarian, which I'm finding out more and more as I get more and more political in my life, that I'm rather libertarian myself. You do you, I'm going to do me. Don't mess with what I do, and I'm not going to mess with what you do. Like, we should all be free to do that and not be told what to think. And it's on me.
I'm in that category as well. Like when the government's corrupt, it's libertarianism, leave me alone. Um, you
Yeah,
know, try to reduce the size of government. If the government was actually really good and represented the people, I would be, you could probably be more of a socialist. And it's
true.
all about like how well that government functions. And the problem right
Right.
now is that, the powers that be don't like the United States constitutional system. They don't like how decentralized it is, how the
Yep.
power is put at the local level,
Yep.
and they want it all centralized because they want to take that over.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
that's the
exactly.
reason why we have all the immigrants flooding in. I mean, people are like, why is the left doing that? Like, don't they understand that people will see that and wake up? It's like, yeah, they don't care, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to destabilize the United States.
Yep.
And they're doing that on multiple fronts. One of them is by, running in endless hordes of, military age men from God knows where into the country.
Yep.
Another way is, um,
Printing money
by
nonstop.
printing money. Another way is by having a botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Another way is by bombing people that are innocent with drone strikes, which is a crime against humanity.
Yep.
And all of these things together, like, get people so that they turn against institutions, and all the things that keep a society stable are just, knocked down one after the other. Now it's getting at the core. Like, we can't even trust our election systems anymore.
Yep.
Every centralized thing has now been kind of shown to be a fraud, and everything has been delegitimized. And where does this all end up? Well, this
Right.
ends up in a revolution, because in order to do a revolution, the foundation of the system has to crack and buckle. And they're working really hard in overtime to make sure that it's as weak as possible, so that when the crisis comes and just a little bit of pressure is applied, then
Yeah.
the whole country goes into crisis by these civil rights, these fake civil rights organizations like Open
Yeah.
Societies Foundations, and the whole thing
ACLU.
collapses on itself, and they're able to put in a new system. And a lot of people think that it's a communist system, but my thesis is that it's actually not. It's actually a technocracy,
Okay.
and it's a different
Explain
system
that.
altogether. A technocracy is a form of central planning, which is done by the software engineers.
Okay.
And essentially, as these things get so complicated, you're basically going to have a few people that, are heavily integrated with machines and computers. And they're going to be the ones that essentially use science in order and engineering in order to manage the entire state of the economy. And they're going to divvy up goods and resources and allow the people to rent them out. And the reason why they're going to do this is because manufacturing is going to go through the freaking roof with the fourth industrial revolution.
Is
The
that with
robots,
AI and whatnot?
the
It
AI, the
Yep.
5G, the shrinkage of really powerful CPUs into
Yeah.
small spaces that are power efficient. It's going to power this entire AI economy. And so the question is, well, what do you do about all this useless human labor and intellectual capacity, which will make up a very small minority of the total available labor and intellectual pools? And
Right.
the answer is that, well, what exactly is it that humans need? Do they really need the total sum output of their economies, or are they basically looking at each other on social media all day and going out and having fun at a party? Well, it's basically that, and they don't need the total sum output of the economy to do that, right?
Yeah.
They need some transportation, they need the ability to use electricity and an internet connection, and that's pretty much it. They can be delivered
Food.
everything on a day-to-day basis. And so
True.
what I think is happening right now is that this technocracy sees that the value of human labor is essentially approaching zero. Even though we think that we're autonomous, I think the oligarchs and the elites believe that we're basically their property, their indentured servants. And now that they know how to run things better than we do, they're just going to implode the whole thing so that they can run it better from their citadels lined with computer screens from a centrally planned location. So, welcome, smart cities. You'll own nothing but be happy.
Yep.
And what we got to do is we got to figure out what the freedom of expression and sovereignty looks like in this new system, and that's what we got to keep alive, is the power of speech. And what, the power of speech has never been expressed more than it is right now, and that's the reason why they have to censor us and people like you, Adam, is because you guys really are changing the world.
Thank you.